What's up, world? This is your guy, Guitar K, and today we're going to be talking about positive affirmations, man. And look, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I used to didn't subscribe to this, but now that I think and reflect on it, I can remember all the negative stuff that people said to me, about me, and I'm 48 years old, and I can remember these things dating all the way back to elementary school. See, because we can let people say negative things to us, and if we don't do something to combat those negative thoughts, we can start thinking that what these people saying about us is true. And what I found is that the best way to combat these negative affirmations, go figure, positive affirmations. Look, man, I know y'all seen the 5 heartbeats, and you remember when Eddie Kane Sr. When he was coming down hard on Eddie Kane Jr. just because he was old and miserable. He was telling Eddie, you ain't gonna never be shh because I ain't shh. And man, if you seen the 5 heartbeats and tell Eddie, found his own way and stop listening to what his father said about him. If you keep listening to what other people say about who you are, what you are, look, man, you're never going to be able to find your true self. So today, we're talking about positive affirmations, man. You got to tell yourself you are worthy. You are good. You are creative. You are loved. You are enough. But before we go any further, I like to look at them real definitions. We're going to go to Webster. We're going to see what they have to say about it. Because so many times when you ask somebody, what do something mean? They always tell you what they think it means. But let's get a real understanding of what we're talking about here. So, what does positive self-affirmations mean? The recognition and assertion of the existence and the value of one's individual self. Okay, now, I also went further and I said, why do we need self-affirmation? It says that when people write or say self-affirmations, they tend to subsequently make positive, healthy life choices and even feel stronger, larger sense of self. And most of my videos, that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to make better life choices. And what I found is that when you do have positive affirmations about yourself, when you tell yourself that you are good, that you are worthy, you tend to make better life choices because you tend to recognize your value and you're not placing your value on what other people say or what society say or what somebody else has or what you don't have. You place it on what you say about yourself. And at the end of the day, though, you got to put in that work. You have to be who you say that you are. You can't just look in the mirror and say, oh, well, hey, Kawan, you're a good person and you're doing a good job. You have to really be a good person. You have to really do a good job because like we always say, faith without work is dead. And to just sit in the mirror and tell yourself a bunch of things that you're not or that things that you're not working on, that's dead as well. That's why I wore my Muhammad Ali t-shirt today, because I don't know nobody who gave themselves more positive affirmations than Muhammad Ali. I mean, go back and watch some of the tapes. This man talked more smack than anybody I know. But the thing is, he was willing to back it up. He put the hours into the gym. He trained enough to be able to give himself those positive affirmations. So that's why I gave that example, man. There's nothing wrong with saying you're the best when you're training to be the best. There's nothing wrong with saying that you're a bad man when you're training to be that bad man. Check this out, man. Positive affirmations. Like I said, I can remember all the negative things people said about me. I remember my first summer job. I worked at the Baltimore Museum of Art. And I worked with one of my Cherry Hill friends. Her name was Candy. I don't know if you're out there watching Candy, but if you remember, man, that summer was not a good summer for me. It was these other gentlemen that worked there. They was from another neighborhood. And I mean, they rode me all summer, y'all. If y'all know me from back in the day, y'all know I had the big glasses. I had the braces. I was tall, skinny. I had the little box fade. I mean, these gentlemen called me Steve Urkel every day. I mean, they called me that from across the museum. They called me that when I was getting off the bus, man. But I stuck through it. And, it's not like I let them run me off the job or nothing like that. But I could still remember that teasing every day of my life. And, I had to give myself positive affirmations. Like I said, man, we remember the negative stuff, but you don't always remember the positive stuff that other people say about you. That's why it's important that you have to tell yourself these positive things all the time, man. And think about it like this. Because we can let our thoughts and emotions overrun our lives if we're not intentional about how we think about ourselves. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker. You control how your thoughts affect you at the end of the day, man. Your thoughts are a blueprint to your life, though. So a man thinketh is what a man do. That come from the Bible, not from me. But check this out, man. Your thoughts are silent, but they can be deadly, man, if you're not in control of them. You have to control your thoughts at all times. You got to remind yourself to keep going in the right direction. Because sometimes your thoughts and what people say and what the world say and what's going on around you can get in your mind and control you to go in a bad direction. And they can be unintentional. You can be wishy-washy and willy-nilly if you're not intentional about your thoughts. That's why it's important that when you wake up and you look in the mirror and you say, look, today we're going to do what we need to do. Today we're going to be that good person that we want to be. And congratulate yourself when you don't go off the path. Pat yourself on the back. Don't be expecting nobody else to pat yourself on the back. Don't be expecting nobody else to pat you on the back. Don't be expecting nobody else to tell you that you're doing a good job. Tell yourself you're doing a good job and keep doing a good job when nobody else is looking, no matter what nobody else is saying. You be your biggest fan. You be your biggest cheerleader. And it all comes from giving yourself positive affirmations, no matter what nobody else is saying, no matter what nobody else is doing, man. Look. Positive affirmations, when you do these things, they tend to shut down the negative affirmations. And like I said, for so long, I let the negative affirmations run me out the door a lot. I let them run me into doing things that I didn't want to do. I was seeking instant gratification, seeking outside comfort. These are the type of things that can run us into addiction. These are the type of things that can run us into gambling and, people pleasing and, approval seeking, getting in and out of relationships that we really don't want to be in because you just want to feel something. But what I'm telling you, man, you are in control of your feelings and emotions at the end of the day. You don't need outside validation to be good with yourself. Give yourself these positive affirmations, man. Look, when you're thinking positive, you tend to go in a positive direction. When you're thinking negative, you tend to go in the negative directions, man. Look, and like I said, you got to back it up with the positive behaviors. You can't just be looking in the mirror telling yourself you're doing good when you know you're doing bad. That just ain't gonna never work out for you. And like I said, don't be a victim to your negative thinking. Shut them things down. Because I know sometimes people say stuff to us, like I said, the world do tend to press down on us. But you got to press back. You always got to fight back. When the world coming at you hard, that's only just a time for you to try harder. That's just a time for you to fight harder, man. And when you're giving yourself positive affirmations, when you're telling yourself, I know it's hard right now, but I'm still going to get up and do what I got to do. It makes it a little bit easier. It makes the road a little bit smoother. We're talking about self-mastery here. We're talking about being able to master your own thoughts, master your own emotions. And when you're telling yourself that you're doing a good job, you don't need nobody else telling you. You don't need nobody else giving you trophies or awards, man. You are the trophy. You are the award. Tell yourself this constantly. Remind yourself you are valuable. Look, man, and the best attribute that any of us can have at the end of the day is to be dependable and to be trustworthy. I mean, you could be talented, you could be gifted, you could be pretty, you could be creative, all of these things, man. But are you dependable? Are you available? Are you going to show up day after day after day? That is the type of behavior that's something to be proud about at the end of the day. I'm not saying all the other stuff is not good, but all of that is just extra. Be trustworthy. Be dependable today. Have integrity, man. Look. With positive affirmations, you can reclaim your life. You can reclaim your passion. You can live with purpose, and you can be proud of yourself with these positive affirmations. Tell yourself you're doing a good job. Don't let what other people say about you become you. Don't believe the hype. You create the hype. You become the hype. Positive affirmations will set you free to become the person that you were always meant to be. So look at that man or woman in the mirror today and say, good job. But not just say it. Do it. Back it up. Be like Muhammad Ali. Train to be the best. Practice to be the best. Back it up with the work. You got to show the work. You know how like back in the day when we used to do our math problems, I don't know what these kids do now with all these calculators and all this stuff like that. But back in the day, we used to have scratch paper and you couldn't just do the answer, because if you just put the answer down there, you got it wrong. You had to show the work. Today, give yourself positive affirmations, put in the work, be the best you. This is your guy, Guitar K. Be more